Hello everyone, today we are going to be making another meat alternative recipe. Today we're going to be doing some jackfruit pulled pork. So a few online I've seen that they've used jackfruit as a meat alternative to make some great pulled pork, just from looking at it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try out for my very first time using jackfruit, and we're going to make like a pulled pork kind of just sandwich with a bit of a slaw as well. So without further ado, let's get cooking. Right, let's start making this jackfruit pulled pork. So let's get out all the ingredients to begin with, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got some of our ingredients that we need. So we've got some canned jackfruit in the brine. Kind of surprised I actually found jackfruit at my local Coles. I thought I thought they wouldn't have it, but we got some, and we got in the brine as well. So you want in the brine and not in the syrup, because the syrup is too sweet. Generally it's the ripe jackfruit, and we want the sort of more less ripe, which is in the brine. So perfect. So what we're going to do with these is just drain them out. So we'll do that. And we'll use 2 cans. Okay, well that's just over to the side draining. We're just going to prep, slice on some onion and mince up some garlic. So yep, there's our thinly sliced onions. And now we're just going to do 3 cloves of garlic, minced, but I'm just going to kind of crush them and then, cut them up quite fine. All right, and there we have our garlic minced, our onion thinly sliced. I'm just going to leave that over there for now. And now we're just going to prep the sort of, I guess, some seasoning and some spices that we're going to use. We'll just grab a bowl. To this bowl, we're just going to add in a tablespoon of Mexican chili powder, which sounds odd for pulled pork, but it'll add a little bit of spice, and it has some paprika in it and some other garlicky stuff as well. Smoked paprika, it's kind of a teaspoon, but also just probably less. Cumin, ground cumin, so there's half a tablespoon or to a teaspoon of half cumin. And then some ground pepper, about half a tablespoon of that. And then we'll just add in half a tablespoon of salt. Yeah, so from research, there's a lot of different ways. It's kind of the main core ingredients is the sliced onion, garlic, and the jackfruit. And then other people put in some spices. And we've got some barbecue sauce, which you can make your own, or just use barbecue sauce you have lying around, which is what I'm going to do. I'm feeling a bit lazy today, and might as well use that. And that's what's going to be the sort of barbecuiness. All right, and a bit of salt. All right, we're basically good. The only other 2 things we're going to be adding into our sort of jackfruit mix is some Worcestershire sauce and some mustard. That's basically everything prepped. So let's bring out the hob. I think we can make it in the hob, and go from there. Now, actually, I did say that we were going to be going straight to the cooking of the jackfruit, but I do remember from my research that I forgot about is we are actually going to prep the jackfruit a little as well. Right, so this is sort of our drained jackfruit. We're just going to lay this down on here. So yeah, it looks very interesting, fruity, smells sweet. Let's give it a little taste. Briny. Not particularly great to eat at the moment because it's been soaked in brine. And we're just going to cut it in lengthways. And this is just going to help the cooking process a little bit, I think. Although it's coming across quite mushy anyway. But maybe we don't need to cut into slices. But we'll do that anyway, just to help the cooking process a little bit. Can't hurt. Because what we're going to be doing anyway is we're going to be mashing it up into strands. And there we have our prepped jackfruit, just kind of sliced into little strips lengthways, just to see if this helps, because they were kind of in big chunks, so this might be a bit easier to cook with. But now let's bring out the induction hob and start getting our frying of the onions going. All right, here's our induction hob pan. Hopefully this pan will fit everything, and we are just going to set that to, I don't know, like medium-ish heat. chuck a bit of oil in there. And the great thing about induction is it heats up quickly. Now we'll just put in our onion. I have a slight suspicion that this pan is not big enough to fit everything, because already from the onions it's quite full. Anyway, we'll just saute these up till they're softened a little bit. Okay, so the onions are sort of softening up a little bit and they're getting a bit brown, which is good. We'll just do this for a few more minutes and then we'll add in our jackfruit. Okay, so it's probably softened a bit now. Let's add in our jackfruit. Now this is filling up quite a bit, but then we'll just give that a little bit of a mix. To this as well, we're going to just add in straight away our spices. Give that a bit of a mix. So it might not look like much at the moment, but we'll definitely be getting there. Alright, to this as well, we're just going to add a splash of Worcestershire sauce. Now if you wanted to do vegan, the next kind of few things we're going to be doing, it's not exactly vegan, so we're going to be using Worcestershire. If you are vegan, just use vegan Worcestershire. Just a splash of that. Then a little bit of mustard, just to give it a bit of extra flavour. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding in some stock or water, whatever you have available. I'm going to be using chicken stock. Like I said before, if you're vegan, maybe use a vegan stock. But I just like to use what I have at hand, and I always have chicken stock or chicken broth, because I always have that on hand. Now we're just going to add in, like a quarter cup-ish, a little bit of stock. So the goal of the stock is now we're going to put a lid on it, and this lid, and then we will let it sort of steam or cook in the juices and soften up the jackfruit. Now this pan doesn't necessarily have a lid, so we're just going to be finding one that kind of fits over it, and we're just going to let that sort of cook for about 10 minutes ish. I'll check on it until it gets soft. Basically, that's the aim of this, is to make it get soft and pull a party. Also at this stage before you can start preheating your oven, because we are going to be putting it into the oven after this stage. So yeah, preheat your oven whenever you feel like it, basically. Okay, it's been about 10-ish minutes. Whoa, look at that. Alright, so the aim of this part is just to see that it's soft. And it seems like it is. So at this stage we're just going to mash it. Literally mash it. If you have a potato masher, use that. I'm just going to turn this off, because we don't need it cooking. So I'm just going to use a fork, give it a good old mash. Now this is my first attempt. I've never really used jackfruit before, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how this will go. And I think I forgot to mention before, but the oven is preheated to 200 degrees Celsius. I think we're going so far, so good. Now it doesn't look particularly appetizing. I mean, sort of. The onion looks good. So I think we've got this all mashed up reasonably well. Now, next step is we get our sheet pan, grease it up, and then put it in. So I'm just going to grease it up, and we're just going to chuck it onto here. So this has softened it up, so it should have like a similar-ish texture to pulled pork. And now we're just going to be drying it out in the oven. That's the aim. Now we just chuck this in the oven and we cook it for, I think 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to be adding some barbecue sauce, give it a little mix around and add it in then again, until we get a sort of caramelization that we want. So yeah, let's just chuck this bad boy in. And I'll see you in a few when that is ready to be tossed and added some barbecue in. Or we'll make a slaw at this point. We'll see. Okay, so while the jackfruit is in the oven, we're going to be making our slaw, because we're going to be making this into like a pulled pork burger basically, or pulled pork sandwich, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, let's make a kind of slaw to go with that. Okay, so we've got a bowl. What we're going to do is we have half a head of red cabbage. We're just going to use about half of this, I think. You can use normal cabbage or red cabbage. I don't know. I wanted to use red cabbage and I think this will be fine. So take a few of the outer leaves away. And then we're just going to sort of thinly slice it. I don't know which way is the best. I think this way. Thinly slice it. I was this close to just getting a bag of slaw, but you know what? I thought we'll make it ourselves. There's a red cabbage, thinly sliced. Next up, we are going to thinly slice red onion. So it's going to be a very purpley, reddy slaw, but I'm sure that'll be fine. So here we have our thinly sliced onion. Some not as thin as others, but should be good enough. And now we have carrot, which we are just going to julienne somehow. So we've got 3 carrots, which is probably more than we really need. So we'll just peel and then we'll bring out our mandolin and yeah, give that a go, I think. Okay, here we have our mandolin. So we want it thin and spikes on. We're just going to chuck in a carrot and then we're just going to be very careful when you use the mandolin because these things are sharp. And then we have some nice julienne carrot. And there we have our julienne carrots. I just realized this is so much slaw. So much slaw. Oh well. So we're just going to give this a bit of a mix around. Glad I used the big bowl. Okay, to this we are going to be adding in, so we're going to be adding in about 2 teaspoons of mustard, then about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Now we're just going to squirt it in. That should be roughly that. And a bit of pepper, a bit of salt. Let's give this mix around. Okay, and then the final thing we're going to add to this is some apple cider vinegar. So about 3 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Bit of a mix around, and that's our slaw. Perfect, look at that. That's our slaw, ready to rock and roll. Alright, so it's been about 15 minutes, I think, a little bit longer in the oven. Oh yeah, it's not looking too bad. Let's grab our spatula. So we're just going to give this a little bit more of a mix around. So we're starting to get some caramelization, which is nice. And what we're going to do at this stage, for like the last 10 or so minutes, is we're just going to add in some barbecue sauce. Just to get that barbecue flavor cooked in. Now, let's get it caramelized. Basically, we want to get it just before burnt. So some burnt bits on the side, that's where we want to be at. So that might take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but basically we're just trying to get a nice texture going. So yeah, and then we just chuck it back in for 15, maybe 20, who knows? Who knows how long, until it looks good. Okay, it's been an undetermined amount of time, I'm not entirely sure. Kind of lost track of it, but it's looking pretty good now. So let's turn off the oven. Look at that. Not looking too shabby. Let's just give it a little taste test. It's not too bad. It's a bit acidic, I think. I don't know. Anyway, what we're going to do next is we're going to grab a bowl and we're going to chuck in the bowl, and then we're just going to toss it with some more barbecue sauce, and then we'll make our burger things. And my camera's getting close to running out of battery, so we've got to be quick with this. Okay, so we go in the bowl now. Let's chuck a bit of barbecue sauce in there. Give it a mix around. I mean, it definitely looks like pulled pork, and it tasted pretty good as well. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it will taste better, not just by itself. There's not too much. It's a bit on the mushy side, I think, which I think pulled pork can be. Anyway, we've got that sauced up a little. Grab our plate and the air fryer is it's done. It's done. Okay, so it's very light, very lightly toasted. So we're going to add in. Let's add in an amount like that. Add in our slaw. This is probably going to be a messy eat. Like that. And let's give this a taste test, shall we? Look at that. That doesn't look half bad at all. Anyway, taste test time. All right. So yeah, there we have it. There's our kind of jackfruit pulled pork. Let's give it a taste. That is really good. It has the barbecueness that you want from like the pulled pork. The texture is quite similar. I was a bit haphazard. I'm not like a huge pulled pork person, so I don't know how the texture is compared. I thought it was a bit on the mushy side, but with the slaw and in the bread, it's fantastic. It's so good. This turned out really, really well. I think this is a raging success. It 100% tastes like pulled pork. It's like a pulled pork like little sandwich. 100%, 100%. It looks like it a lot. When I taste it by itself, it was maybe not as good as I would have imagined it, but yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge pulled pork person, so I don't know really what pulled pork kind of is meant to taste like, or the texture of it. But together it all, very nice, very nice. So yeah, that is the pulled pork, well, jackfruit as pulled pork. And I think this turned out very well. Like, I'm very happy with how this turned out. Give us a go as another meat alternative dish that you can try at home. And if you could all like, subscribe, comment down below if you like this video, and all that jazz. Much do appreciate it. But yeah, peace out.